y'all. This is ArtsyWisdom. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for coming by. My name is Diane. Today, sorry I've been MIA on this channel. I've been so busy. We had company and then I wasn't feeling well, tummy stuff, and then I got offered to do a mural or asked to do a mural, and it's getting complicated. And lots of people will have an opinion, so that's kind of been in the background. And there's something else. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry for not being here, and I enjoy being with you guys so much, and it's really important for me to keep coming on here. But, life, that happens. I wanted to thank you to all my new subscribers, those of you who are new to my channel, those of you who are just visiting. I hope you find something of value. I do astrology. I'm a tarot card reader. I also am a hypnotherapist and life coach. I think that's it. And other things. I'm an intuitive and creative. Oh yeah, there's the artist thing. I'm an artist too. But okay, so today I'm going to revisit a few things. One of my lovely viewers and clients, Chris, had suggested I get back into Ben Franklin's energy, because this time right now is like insanity, and me pulling back a big picture is a way for me to not get swept up in the soup of disgust and putridness, which is the dread and stuff that I feel when all of his executive orders come out. And it's been, let's see, a week. No? Yeah, a week. Yesterday was a week, so 8 days. What a difference a day makes, right? So he is plowing through everything, and it's all Project 2025. And those people who created it had it ready to go, and they just put one thing after the other in front of him, and he signed them, and he signed them, and he signed them. And I know the system or the tech strategy they use is to keep us very occupied with all these different things. And then over here, guess what? We don't notice what this other thing that's even more dangerous, because we're focused on this immediate stuff. So there's a lot, and I'm overwhelmed. I know you guys might be too. And so I wanted to get into Ben Franklin's energy as a suggestion. I had already done that, but to see maybe I could get more details about what he would suggest. She also suggests Thomas Paine, who wrote Common Sense, and it was very interesting what he was doing, because when I channel people, I get into their energy and I see what they're doing in the moment. So, and it helps me decipher what's happening. And I also had some really interesting and kind of pleasant, if I look at it that way, images of what's going to go on with Trump's health, and as he's moving forward in these next days and into February. February 4th, Jupiter's going to go direct into Gemini, or it's in Gemini. It's been retrograde since October, since way before the election. So going direct, we've already reassessed. When things go retrograde, we're in that same area, Gemini part of your chart. You're reviewing, you're having to go deep, and things occur in your life and they get repeated. You go past it, you come back, and you get past it again. So they keep coming up for you depending on where that is in your chart, and for you to deal with. And maybe they're really good things, but sometimes they're an awareness, an understanding of that part of your chart and that part of that house in your chart that is covers that part of your life. This is a very long beginning. I also wanted to mention, I've been watching Marianne Williamson, who gives me peace. She's running for the Democratic National Committee chairpersonship. Anyway, she's a lovely spiritual person, and she did run for president. She's just so smart. You guys, if you ever get a chance to listen to her, she is so smart and fast. So she explained, she was on Travis Smalley the other day, and she was talking about the problems with the whole national committee and the whole party. And it's basically we have to redo it all. And we're trying to use old methods or old strategies or old um, techniques, systems, whatever they want to call them, and the way that people are talking to each other, or the money isn't trickling down to the states. That was the ultimate point she was making. It's all these different think tanks and consulting firms in Washington and wherever, and the money that it doesn't go down to the state level where they need it, where they know how to talk to people, where they know they can get out and canvas and stuff like that. And she didn't understand that, and it makes no sense. So she really wants to get in there. So if you get a chance to listen to her sometime, she's really okay. Let's get started. Before I forget, please subscribe, hit that little notification bell. It's free if you like what you see here. We found out today that he's cutting all funding, frozen all government funding to like trillions of dollars, schools, Head Start programs, Medicaid, veterans housing, to name a few. It's insanity, and it makes me so mad. I also wanted to say I wrote my two senators. I'm in Arizona, so I had Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego. They're both Democrats, but I also wrote Andy Biggs, who is my congressman. Andy Biggs is a crazy person, and all of his siblings. He comes from a large Mormon family, and they all said to people, or they wrote letters to newspapers and said, don't vote for him because he's not right in the head. But of course, he's a MAGA guy. Anyway, I still wrote him. He's probably not going to see this, so it won't matter. But I wrote him, and just flaming furious I was. So I don't know. I think everybody's really scared. And so I'm sure they're getting phone calls after phone calls and emails and everything. And so I don't expect to hear anything back. But I just think the more we get our voices out there often as we can, it'll make a dent. I think that was it. That was all I was going to mention. Oh yeah, so in a couple days I'm going to see my mom. You guys are probably getting all this information. I'm going to see my mom. She had breast cancer years ago, and then recently it came back, but in different parts of her body. And she's doing well. She's 81. She's doing good on her chemotherapy. Nowadays they do the pill, because I took chemo, but I had a port and everything, and they, gave you injections or IV or whatever through the port. But now they're doing pills, and she gets an injection. That's it, and fast. So it's not causing her much problem. So really good. I'm happy. But she had a PET scan yesterday, and we haven't gotten the results yet. So when we get there in a couple days, my brother is a nurse, and he's always monitoring everything and her results. So he'll let us know what happens with that. But we'll also get to see her. That's why we're just going to go visit, and my siblings are all up there. Anywho, so that's another part of this, trying to maintain sanity in this crazy cuckoo bananas world where we're living in right now. Six of Swords. I want to leave the crazy and go to the calm. And I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday, and I said, I think we should just live in a place where there is no tech. I just want to live in a place where I walk, feel my senses. I'm not on my phone. I'm not on the computer. I'm maybe reading a book, a real paper book. I'm drawing, or I'm writing with a pen and paper, talking to other humans, singing, dancing, doing yoga, something that is human and just natural. And I'm craving that. And I think one of my old prediction videos from last year, or the year before, was I saw that they're going to come up with maybe we're going to have no tech days or no tech months or something. I think there's going to be a big movement for that. And maybe it has to do with all of our tech billionaires, our oligarchs. I don't know. But anyway, all right. Ben Franklin. I got into his energy. In my past video, I saw him with tons of papers all over his table. It's kind of a bigger desk table. And he was very energetic. And he had a lot to do. And he felt like there was a lot he could do. And he was giving me hope, because the energy I got was he was saying it's the Congress. Trump, there's always going to be a different president, but it's the Congress that we need to focus on. The representatives and the senators. That's what we need to focus on. The president will be reined in with them because they make the laws and they limit him and they say no to stuff. So that made a lot of sense to me. But it was the feeling I had was there's hopeful. And he said, all of the parts are there. We just have to use them. And so maybe that he's inferring some, maybe the amendments or the laws that are already in place and that we just need to use or get our representatives to use. The problem is they're all, most of them are paid off and to choose different things. So I try to get in more detailed. I don't know, it's not super great, but he said, this is exactly what we expected or we feared and expected, he said. He said, to solve this, gather intelligent men. He said men, but I'm pretty sure he means humans or women too. Gather intelligent men and make a plan. He says more devious and clever, maybe not deep, but like sneaky. That's the feeling I got, was more sneaky. And he says, use the law and science. And then he showed me a picture of him or whoever standing outside of the chaos and watching. He's saying use science, because in science you observe reactions, variables and controls and that sort of thing. So, and they document it. There's something with him about science and saying observe, use the law and science and observe. So maybe that's what he means to create, get intelligent people together, or maybe it's congressmen. I think it's outside people. It's outside people that are, and it may be lawyers. I feel like it might be lawyers and scientists, but it's not like guys with white coats or women with white coats. It's more like scientific, not maybe data like that, like this plus this equals this. Like it's an equation or observation that he says if you look at everything, you'll be able to sort it out. But he was, he experimented and invented so many things, and newspapers and libraries and things, and electricity, like I said. But that's what he's saying. But how do we do that? Protest, point out and start. He says social media, but because I was thinking social media, campaign and gather this, like talk to each other, communicate with as many people as you can to build coalitions, build groups with the same goal. But then you need to work with the other intelligent observation science thing. But I feel like it's lawyers. But I do feel like that was very hopeful. The other thing he said is to go where they are, go where the congressmen, the senators are, or the White House or the Capitol Hill, or wherever people are. He said you need to go there and be vocal, obviously, protest. And the feeling I got is it's like a movement. It will grow and grow and grow. People will build and build onto this. I also saw this. This is not related to Ben Franklin. I saw the Congress, you watch these countries like, I don't know, Russia, Thailand, or wherever, everybody starts fighting each other, literally like fist fighting each other. I saw that in our Congress or Senate. There's going to be some knockdown, drag out fights, because there's going to be so much of this negative energy, so much of this, what are we going to do with him? I can't appease my people, and I can't appease the MAGA, and the conservative Christians. He promised something to everybody, and they can't, or the people that want to cut back the budget. He can't do what he wants for the MAGA people and cut back the budget and also spend $1 million a day golfing in Florida. So something's got to give. And they're stuck. The representatives are stuck because they want to please the MAGA voters that will chase them down with pitchforks. And they also want to stay in power, right? So they're stuck. So the energy is going to get more and more volatile. And especially, he's going to such extremes with this project, and there's no limits, right? So he's going to such extremes that they're going to be pushed to make a decision. And people are going to get angry. It's just going to be so much angry, especially in Congress. People are yelling. I mean, yes, outside. Riots, protests, that sort of thing, of course. Especially if they decide they want to chip away at Medicaid. I know he froze all the money, and that the federal judge, put a freeze on it till Monday. But I know some of these states have not been able to access their portals online, and it is a shit show. So I think what they're going to do with Medicaid, this is logical, Diane, is they're going to look at the numbers and say, well, they can cut 10% here. They can do this in 30% less. They can do it with this minus all this staffing here. We're going to close this building. We're going to close that. We're going to gut this department. They're still going to get this money, some of it here, some of it there, some of it, but not, I think they're going to try and cut it back severely. Eventually, but not immediately, because they have to look at it. What was his name from Florida? The one that looks like Skeletor. Bald head, tall guy, skeletal face. He says, I think he's going to do it like I did in Florida, where I wanted to cut costs. So I had to look at everything, and I'm sure that's all he's doing, is he's just taking a look at it, and then we're going to see where it is after that. Okay, so then I also looked into Thomas Paine. And the funny thing is, I got into his energy, and in the past I've done all the four, or not all of them, Jefferson, Adams, George Washington, and James Madison was the fourth one. And they all had very different personalities and very different ways they communicated with me, and very different moods, energy. So I got into Thomas Paine's energy. He wrote Common Sense, which was the tipping point, which was the catalyst for finally the revolutionary, or the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary War, because everybody had been brewing, right? And once he wrote that, it just like, and it was like that was the moment, and it fit right when they needed it. So when I got into his energy, it's dark, it's night where I am, and I feel very thin, and not particularly happy. And I have a motion that I'm doing as Thomas Paine. It's this weird, maybe it comes from here, the right to the left, like this. It's like, it's not a stirring, but it's kind of like, and I see a circle, a line that goes like this, but it kind of comes in like that. And it's like a weird, like, when you stand something and it has oscillating, it's like that. It's oscillating, kind of, the circle doesn't complete itself. It kind of comes this way, but he's moving his whole shoulder. So I don't know if this is like he's wiping something. It's like something he's working on. And it's at night, and I can see cobblestones, like, kind of wet cobblestones. What is he doing? I don't know. Is it printing press or something? I don't think you do that. You type, and then maybe the inking. I don't think it looks like that. But anyway, I asked him, I got into his energy to ask him what he would recommend. And he said, the spinning movement, he also said, you have to say things in ways people understand. invent. He says you need to invent another way to get the word out about, like, to combat, I'm saying this, to combat the Republican right-wing lie machine that goes on nonstop, right? The twist, the truth, that out and out lies. And you need to invent another way to get the word out that regular people see. And he says underground. So I don't know how to take this. He says keep it tech free, which meaning I think he wants to keep it like I pictured newspapers or, propaganda pamphlets flying from the sky, when they used to drop them. And I also saw him saying since the beginning of our nation, there's been so many wars and so many leaders that have put people in harm's way. Young men deciding to, Civil War, just horrible, horrific. And these older men who want power and greed decide, and they make these decisions then. And that's happened over and over throughout the centuries that we've been a nation. So he was saying that he is different, Trump and these people are, but they're not that much different than other times where if you just power and greed, the thing is now we get information so fast and we have access to it because regular people have computers and news and things, and it's fast and it's like lightning. Things have been this way on and off through these centuries. So yes, there's some work to be done, but it's possible to fight back. We have the tools, things are in place for that. Because we have a lot of smart people, we have a lot of awarenesses, temperance, balance, and I got the devil. So it's the temperance. These cards are very interesting, just like old Southern Belle temperance. And the devil, it's kind of a weird spidery looking thing. She's a mushroom, and that's like a poisonous mushroom, right? That one with the white spots, or the I think that's the temptation, right? Temperance is to balance the judgment. So things are we're coming to a tipping point, or a high ridge that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to make decisions. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be so angry, and these are regular Joes, and the energy is building, but we're going to have to find balance and do what we need to do. And so be smart about it is what he's saying. Be smart about it. Besides, protesting and that sort of thing, which is important, and getting your voice out there because, we have that First Amendment right to free speech. He also says to keep something on the down low, like do this underground till it builds up, maybe. Because things now go viral and that's how you get word out and stuff. But there's something where he's saying they're going to find it and dilute it or convert it or stop it or something. So he's saying you need to really make it a secret, like a, I don't know, I'm picturing the French resistance kind of thing in World War II. Yeah. So I think it's more of us all talking, building up, joining forces in different ways and not being too dangerously close to getting stopped, right? One other thing. So I wanted to tell you about Trump's health. So before I've seen to the end of December this chaos and crazy, and then sometime in February it slows down and it's not like this. I don't know if that's because the tariffs are going to go in February 1st, according to him, in China, or I looked at his health and I saw him in that white golf shirt that he wears, and I see him, people catching him and him falling over, slumped over. Something. Stroke, heart attack, something. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. This is what I see in my visions. Oh, yes, and I forgot to say this too, that this is the thing that was pleasant that I wanted to say. I said, well, what about Project 2025 and him getting these things actually implemented, a lot of them. There's a lot of pushback now from states and lawyers, their courts and stuff. And a lot of them will go to the Supreme Court. But I had an image of those wooden stakes. I've seen those before. Jack Smith was protecting the election, but she tried to do with all his heart. But all those wooden spikes, cross, but mixed up with barbed wire, like bad, like barbed wire infused all of these wooden spikes. And I see Trump in his white shirt trying to get through that, but he gets all mangled inside of it and he can't. He gets stuck. He cannot go past it. And that I saw, or I imagine that is actually like people, Congress, law, actually, rules, and the Supreme Court. So he's not going to be able, and I see him not even like almost going over. It's like he gets stopped, like just gets all tangled. Then I saw I said, what about Project 2025? And I see the papers, like say it was a big book, like it's 800 pages, right? So I see it all all these white papers getting slammed on top of, getting stuck in this barbed wire, wooden stake barrier. And I can see this guy, he was really trying to get that thing over. He was really angry that he could not get it past this barrier. Maybe that's now, he's mad about the court filings and the resistance. But Trump was really far back. The papers may have gotten a little bit farther than Trump did, but they were all like torn and stuck. I hope I'm right, guys. I hope that's a positive image of resistance. But I do see there's going to be lots of fighting in Congress eventually. It's this whole thing is so scary. So let's stay positive. The image that I got about all these different periods of time when we've had events where powerful people want to take all the money and almost make it a dictatorship, because he definitely does. Wants to make a third term. That's not going to happen, at least right now. I don't see that happening. But it felt like it gave me a big picture. Like, yes, we've been through a lot of various things in our whole time as a country. This is one more, and we have a lot of powerful people that can help us through this. And we have to take control. We have to be responsible too. Like I've said before, democracy is a verb. It's not a noun. It's a verb. We have to do democracy. Okay, so I'm just going to show you real quick. I have these Oracle Rama cards. I'm going to pull some. A lot of times these are super accurate when it comes to the spiritual place that we're in. It's the ancient tradition of Rama, East Indian God, spiritual being, and he goes through trials and tribulations, obviously, like we all are in life. But I'm going to pull, it's like you have to pull one from this deck and one for that, and it tells a story. He was born a prince, and the evil stepmother was jealous and that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to get into the whole story, but he ended up leaving his city, and he found his wife, and he went into the woods and found spiritual awareness, kind of like Christ in this 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. And Buddha, they all have this period, And then he has Sita, his wife, and his dedicated brother, and he has a brother back at home. His dad is dead, and so this woman, his stepmother, tries to get rid of him because she thinks he's coming back to take power. Anyway, I don't know if you need to hear all about this story, but it helps when you're understanding with these cards. And he has his monkey, his monkey Hanuman, his monkey friend, who's very helpful and powerful and is a good guide, and he fights for him and Sita. He's my favorite character. I had to pick one of this story. Okay. All right, here. So I picked, oh, and look, here he is. This is Hanuman, the monkey warrior. He's the power of active devotion. Monkey warrior, Rama's devoted servant. All right, so this card is part of the story, and it's in number 2. So remember I said he went into the forest to gain spiritual enlightenment. It says, Rama and Sita continue to retreat in exile. The people in Rama's city suffer in separation because they miss him because he left. Climaxing in the sacred death of his father. Wow, that's weird. I just talked about that. The king. So the indication is relief from suffering comes through inward turning and divine grace. And because I picked this guy, he's the number 1, and there's extra parts on here. Help comes for the spiritually engaged person. So relief from suffering comes through inward turning and divine grace. Spiritually, that's where you're going to find your peace and your refuge in these times of difficulty. As his father died, let me just see if there's any more here. It's kind of a long thing, and 2, 3, 1. Rama, so it's a poem too. There's the ancient Texas poem. Rama, the crest jewel of the solar dynasty, came to live near the holy river Payasvini for hermits, yogis, and sages. For the enlightened, this is the best of images. For the soul immersed in spiritual practices or various good works, the appropriate help and recognition come naturally. This indicates that one will receive blessings and meet with a great person who will help one along one's path. It is favorable time for spiritual practices. So maybe this is the time for you to focus on your prayer, say a prayer every day, meditation, live in the knowing that all is well in your immediate area, your immediate family, and not to lose faith, because it's about having faith that you're going to get through this, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you coming by. Thanks again. Till next time.